fossil fuel effects game, Climate Change The Last Hope. When we made Climate Change The Last Hope, we wanted to put players in a war-torn wasteland. This is so the players could learn firsthand the effects of climate change, and right from the start, put them in a sense of awe and curiosity as to what happened exactly. But we didn't want to make it completely depressing, so we wanted to lighten up the tone a bit. So we added some fun characters here and there. They all had their own stereotypes, and we all wanted to make them fun, so they could give the player a sense to keep on playing the game. Of course, the story itself is quite serious, because we wanted to make the whole area itself just completely dead. There's only a few people left that can help you on your journey. And those people, of course, are the characters you see. They give you a little spark of hope. They give you information on what exactly has happened. And so with that information, you go on to seek the last colony of humans, led by Xi Jinping, the leader of the human colony, and also the culprit of what caused the world to completely erode.
Roles of creators for climate change, The Last Hope. The programmer was Carter Fiat. Asset gatherers who searched for music and extra questions were Raj, Ali, Brian, and Nolan. The researchers who looked up the research were Ali, Josh, Gibson, and Brian. The question masters who came up with the main questions were Ali and Brian. And the storyboarders were Gibson, Nolan, and Raj.
So, for first in this whole Spiral project timeline, we started off with research and question making, and that took approximately 2 days in total to pull up all the questions. We continued working on the questions throughout the whole course of the project based on what the programmer wanted. So that also added a few days to the research and question making project. So then we have storyboarding, which took approximately 5 days to do. And the people who did the storyboard not only worked on it in class, but took it home at some points to work on, and that started about mid-February. The programming aspect was the third thing to be started, and it started about February 22nd, and we recently just finished it. And the pictures and music aspect of the whole Spiral project took approximately 3 in-class days, again, based on the specifications from the programmer, and yeah.
Shit, is he turning to Golden Emperor?
Armando, you're in for a treat.
So the programming behind the game we did in C++. I used the program gdevelop 5, which is a game developing block code system, which is C++. We focused on a click to continue system for changing the text and events. So each time you click, different people pop up, the text changes compared to a side-scrolling or top-down game. It was hard to program because we're all new to programming, and we had to learn C++.
Fossil fuels. What is it? Fossil fuels are most commonly defined as a fuel formed through things like decomposition and photosynthesis. They make up roughly 80% of our energy usage worldwide. They are also a non-renewable and an unsustainable, and are the largest source of pollution that the world has ever seen. Fossil fuels are used by things and produced by things such as cars, phones, boats, buses, etc. And mainly everything you see in your day-to-day life is producing fossil fuels, and those fossil fuels are killing the environment.
Who or what is affected by the results of fossil fuels? Pretty much everyone and everything is affected, like habitats, humans, the atmosphere, ecosystems, and even the oceans. Fossil fuels continue to be a rising issue for the entire planet, and due to everything being affected, it is an extreme issue that needs to be dealt with.
Why are fossil fuels and climate change important? Fossil fuels are an important thing in this day and age because they're required to do a bunch of things in this modern day, like energy, heat, and transportation. They're also used to produce a bunch of modern objects like plastic and steel, which are materials used for these objects. Fossil fuels produce carbon dioxide, which are burned, when burned, which traps heat in the atmosphere. This causes the Earth to overheat and prevents the sun rays from reflecting back into space. This causes an increase in global warming, which in turn causes climate change. And the fossil fuels burning is one of the most like important factors that cause climate change. So that's why it's important for people to know about.
Team evaluation. In this project, each person was assigned and completed their task in order for the game to come together. All components of this project relied on another group member's work. In conclusion, our group effectively worked together to plan and execute this project.
During the creation of this game, we did have a few problems. First of all, I was the main writer of the storyboard. I did experience some sort of sickness when writing the storyboard. I did contract pneumonia, and I was out for a solid 2 weeks. And during that time, I couldn't essentially work on the project because I was so unwell. But thankfully, Gibson, he was able to help me and take my place in the storyboard. And I think we really patched up that problem real quickly and efficiently.
Some issues we came across during the storyboarding is we had to figure out what Carter couldn't and could program, which sometimes was perfectly fine and sometimes could be a major issue. Some things got cut because of that, and then we had to make new ideas. Some issues we came across during the storyboarding is we had to figure out what Carter couldn't and could program, which sometimes was perfectly fine and sometimes could be a major issue. Some things got cut because of that, and then we had to make new ideas.
Okay, so for the research process took about 3 to 4 days, and we wanted to get a baseline amount of questions. So that was about 20 questions. So our programmer, which is Carter, could embed those in the game. And throughout the whole process of the project, we kept adding and switching and editing a bunch of questions to adapt it to the game.
So during the research of the game, a few issues that we came across was trying to come up with reliable information to put into the game, trying to make sure that the information that we collected was like related to each of our individual topics that we researched, and trying to make sure that we didn't add too much or too little information into the game for the research. But in the end, I think that we all worked pretty well, and I think that we all worked pretty efficiently during the process of researching. So during the research of the game, a few issues that we came across was trying to come up with reliable information to put into the game, trying to make sure that the information that we collected was like related to each of our individual topics that we researched, and trying to make sure that we didn't add too much or too little information into the game for the research. But in the end, I think that we all worked pretty well, and I think that we all worked pretty efficiently during the process of researching.
As an outside viewpoint, as someone who played the game after it was complete, it was still very informative while still remaining fun and enjoyable.